Now, let's talk about how we actually go through Recomp. Okay. We know we're trying to lose body fat and we're trying to increase muscle. Okay. So number one, what we got to do first thing is we have to know our starting point. Okay. I've used this example a gazillion times, and I want you to think about this. Okay. Anytime that you are trying to go somewhere in your car and you've never been there before, okay, you always open up your GPS, okay, either Google Maps or Apple Maps, whatever it is. You open up your GPS, and the first thing that happens on that GPS is it tells you your blue dot. This is your starting point, okay? So it tells you your starting point. You have to know that when you're in Recomp, okay? You have to know your starting point. Then what you do in that GPS is you go and you write down your destination, where you want to be, okay? And then you hit enter, and then that creates a step-by-step plan to help you get there. So just like a GPS system, we need to know these exact things. When you want to get to an exact location, a very specific place, an address, okay, you need to know the very specific place that you want to be at, but you also need to know the very specific place that you're starting at, okay? So number one, how do we do it? You got to know your starting point. You got to know your weight. You got to know your body fat percentage, okay? You got to do your calculations and calculate to see how many pounds of fat you have on your body. And the last thing is you got to calculate how many pounds of lean body mass that you have on your body. Okay. So if you don't know how to calculate your fat pounds, if you don't know how to calculate your lean body mass, just shoot me a DM, comment below, say, I don't know how to calculate, please teach me. Okay. And I will teach you. Okay. It's very simple. I can send you the formula. It's easy. Okay. So we have to know those four things. Okay. Now, if you don't know these four things, okay, you are literally just guessing at what's happening to your body. Okay. You're just guessing at what changes that you need to make on a monthly or weekly basis. Okay. And everything that you're doing is based on judgment. It's based on how you feel. It's based on maybe other people's opinions that are at the gym and say, oh, you look like you're getting leaner, but it's not based on true facts. Okay. So you need to know these four facts: your weight, your body fat percentage, your pounds of fat mass, and your pounds of lean body mass if you want to do Recomp. Okay, cool. So now we know our starting point. The next thing is we have to know the goal. Okay. Now this is where a lot of people really struggle, is they don't know what is good. They don't know what is bad. They don't know what their goal should be. Okay. And if you don't know, I'll tell you, it's hard to find out without asking a coach, okay? Or it's hard to find out without knowing a coach, because everybody kind of has their own unique formula of what works for them. And you kind of have to figure it out by trial and error. Now, I can tell you that all of my clients, we know exactly about where it needs to be, okay? But I'll make it simple for you, okay? If you are 130 pounds, we'll just make this up, okay, and you want to stay about the same weight, okay, then we can probably guess that, and let's say you want to lose 10 pounds of fat. Well, we know that you want to lose 10 pounds of fat and you need to gain 10 pounds of muscle. That's an easy way of figuring that out, okay? But I will tell you that most people feel really comfortable when they're about 30 pounds of total fat mass, anywhere between 20 and 30 pounds of total fat mass. Okay. Just depending on how tall you are. Okay. It can even be up to 40 pounds of fat mass if you're like 6'6", 6'5", or whatever. Okay. But typically the 20 to 30 pound of fat mass mark is where people really feel comfortable. Okay. So if you know the goal is to increase muscle, right? The basic goal is to increase muscle. The basic goal is to decrease body fat. Now you have to attach numbers to that, okay? If you want to start off at, hey, I want to increase 10 pounds of fat, or excuse me, I want to increase 10 pounds of muscle, and I want to decrease 10 pounds of fat, you can start there, okay? If you don't know, then I would start with 5, or I would even start with 10 pounds of fat either way, right? I want to gain 10 pounds. In this case, I want to gain 15 pounds of muscle, and I want to lose 15 pounds of fat, okay? Now that we know those goals, now the second step is we have to figure out what is the right strategy, okay? And this is where people really mess up. If you do not have a strategy, okay, on gaining muscle and losing fat, you are going to fail every single time. You have to have a strategy, okay? If your strategy is, I'm just going to lose fat and gain muscle simultaneously, it's wrong, okay? Let me tell you why, okay? In order to gain muscle, you need to eat over your maintenance calories. You need to be in a caloric surplus, okay? In order to gain muscle, you need to eat over your maintenance calories. Let's just say your maintenance calories are 2,000 calories per day, okay? In order to gain muscle, you need to eat over 2,000 calories. We'll call it 2,500 for a nice even number, okay? In order to lose fat, you need to eat under your maintenance calories. Let's just call it 1,500, okay? So how are you going to do both? How are you going to increase muscle and lose body fat at the same time when they are contradicting goals? In order to gain muscle, you need to eat up here. You need to be over your maintenance calories. In order to lose fat, you need to eat under your maintenance calories. So when you set out and your strategy is, I'm going to do both at the same time, you are shooting yourself in the foot because you're going to end up doing things that are just going to be chasing your own tail. Okay. I'll give you a perfect example of this with me. Okay. True story. Okay. So when I went to college, and this was kind of the beginning of my journey of fitness, I gained a lot of weight. I gained 25 pounds in the first 30 days that I was there. Okay. And I'm not going to get into the whole spiritual story about it, but I gained 25 pounds. Okay. And then over the next couple years, I lost 50 pounds. Okay. I got all the way down to 165 pounds. Okay. I lost 50 pounds. Okay. Now, when I finally lost all that weight, I was really lean, but I didn't have a lot of muscle. Okay. But I was so terrified of gaining fat and gaining weight again that I set up my entire program. My cardio was set up to lose fat. My eating was set up to lose fat, but I was spending 2 to 3 hours in the gym lifting weights so I could gain muscle. Okay. And I mean, a year and a half, 2 years, I was stuck at 165 pounds because I was doing both. I was doing cardio. I was doing an hour of cardio, okay, to lose fat. I was eating about 1,500 to 1,800 calories a day, which is way below my maintenance calories, okay? But I was spending 2 to 3 hours in the gym, lifting weights, lifting heavy, grunting, spitting, all that stuff, okay? And I got absolutely nowhere. Why? Because they are contradicting goals, okay? They cannot work simultaneously. So I changed my major in school and I changed it to exercise science and I started learning all this stuff. And what did I do? I said, you know what? I'm going to actually apply what I'm learning and I'm going to focus on muscle building right now. I'm just going to focus on pure muscle building because that's what I want to do more than anything. I want to lose muscle. So that's exactly what I did. I got into a caloric surplus. Okay. And I started eating calories. I actually eliminated my cardio with the exception of 1 day a week. And I would do a 45-minute run 1 day a week. I put my weight training at about an hour. Okay. And all of a sudden, everything started to change. Immediately, my weight went from 170 pounds at that point all the way up to 190 in 6 months. Okay. But my body fat went from 15%. I started at 170 pounds, 15% body fat. Okay. And I wanted to gain muscle. So then I ended up in 6 months, I gained up 190 pounds at 7% body fat, just simply by focusing on adding muscle. Okay. And so I won't explain to you why that happened, but all of a sudden that revolutionized everything for me. I was about 21 years old at that point, and that revolutionized everything. I said, wow, okay, there is actually, if we follow science, it'll actually work. And that changed the game for me on not just my body, but how I approached everybody's body. Follow the science and you will get results. Okay. So if you have the strategy, I'm going to do both, not going to work. Okay. Strategy. I'll make it a really simple strategy for every single person out there that wants to do recomp. Okay. If your focus is only losing fat and that's it, your focus is not building muscle, then you're not trying to do recomp. You need to go watch my fat loss video. Okay. If your focus is only building muscle, okay, and you don't care about your body fat, then you're not trying to do recomp. You're trying to do lean bulk. So go watch that video. Okay. But if you're trying to do both, you're trying to lose body fat and you're trying to increase muscle, this is the strategy I'm going to tell you to take. focus on building muscle first. Okay. I know nobody wants to hear that. Okay. Everybody wants to start with fat loss because that's the most painful thing that we have on our body. But if you focus on building muscle first, you'll be able to eat a lot more food. Everybody wants to eat a lot of food, right? The less food you eat, the more miserable you are, the more cranky you are, the more likely you have cravings, the more likely you are to fall into your cravings if you eat less, right? But the more that you eat, the more full you are. Okay. The more food you can eat, the happier you are, the better your training sessions are going to be. Okay. So focus on focus on building muscle first. Okay. You're in a caloric surplus. Okay. Or even eat at your maintenance calories, but eat more food than what you're eating right now. Okay. And focus on building muscle, and, maybe limit your cardio. Don't do as much cardio. Okay. Cause you're not doing fat loss, but focus on building muscle, and do that and continue doing that until you feel you've built enough muscle, until the data shows that you've built the amount of muscle that you want to build. Okay. Now, if you're trying to gain 30 pounds of muscle, you probably don't want to do it, gain all 30 pounds of muscle before you start losing fat. Okay. You may just want to do it at 10-pound increments, right? You may want to build 10 pounds of muscle first and then lose 10 pounds of fat. Then build 10 pounds of muscle and then lose 10 pounds of fat. Okay. So you might want to do it like that if you have a lot of muscle to build. Okay. So you can do this in a couple phases. You don't necessarily have to do it all at once. Okay. So focus on building muscle first. Once you've built your goal, whether it's 10 pounds, 15 pounds, or even 7.5 pounds, whatever it is, once you've built that amount of muscle, now you can start focusing on losing fat. Okay. And then you can structure your program to start losing fat. Okay.